Hi, I'm Tom, and I've never seen the Titanic, but I have seen The Room at least 3 times.
And I'm Sean, and I think Forrest Gump is fine. There, I said it.
And this is Flix and Flops, the podcast where we watch movies, talk nonsense.
And pretend to know what we're doing.
Grab your snacks, lower your expectations, and let's ruin some cinema together.
Because nothing says film analysis like two friends arguing over whether Nicolas Cage is a genius or just bored.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flix and Flops. Sean and I went to see Jurassic World Rebirth the other day. And Sean, I think we just got to get right to it. What are your thoughts on the movie?
So I kind of have a hot take that the minute we left the movie theater and I was sitting in the car, I genuinely think this movie might have had a worse ending than War of the Worlds. Because at least War of the Worlds, they tied together whatever fucking loose plot ends there even were. This movie literally was just like, oh, we did it, and then it just literally did a fade wipe. In the year of our Lord 2025, this movie had a budget of like 225 million, and they did a like wipe to black to end the movie. No, and that was it. Like actually horrendous. So that's one thing.
Well,
I don't know how you felt, but
with the changes in YouTube, we can say fuck before 2 minutes now, so we're good. But so I think the biggest problem with this movie in general, it was just a mess. Like if you look at the movie as a whole, the plot is this stereotypical evil corporate dude, which they have in every Jurassic Park movie, who was played by Rupert Friend, who we thought was Orlando Bloom for the entire movie. Looks
yep.
just like Orlando Bloom. It was not him, but he hires Scarlett Johansson and a team of mercenaries to go get dinosaur DNA from 3 different dinosaurs on this island. And it's like, it needs to be land, air, and sea. I don't know why. There's no reason. They're just like, they're the biggest. So, sure, fetch quest, whatever. They go, and of course, as is every Jurassic Park movie, civilians somehow find their way on because you have to make dramatic tension somehow. And then they end up stranded on the island trying to get the DNA and trying to use the DNA for what, medical purposes to make humans live longer. It was incredibly vague.
Well, so off the bat, they try to sell you on the first 15 minutes of this movie. Well, not even like first after they have like a cold open where like this dude gets eaten by, I literally said to Tommy, I'm like, oh, like what the fuck mutated dinosaur are we gonna do? Because that's the whole gimmick of these new movies. I'm like, what is it gonna be, the D-Rex? And it literally was called the D-Rex. So that's all right. Like I'm like, what the fuck? I think it stood for Distortus Rex. I had to look that up. They never even called it that in the movie. But the whole thing of why they need the earth, water, air, dinosaurs is okay, these are the biggest dinosaurs. So we're going to take their DNA and it's going to help for heart medication because they had bigger coronary systems, they had bigger hearts. So surely that will allow humans to live centuries longer like they do. Like, oh yeah, like I'll fucking stick a needle into a dinosaur and now I'll live like 20 years longer. Like already, and they're trying to sell you on the fact that not only whatever the fuck stupid plot line that is, they're trying to sell you that okay, dinosaurs have been living among us for like 30 years and people don't give a fuck about them anymore. Like what?
See, I turned to you when the movie said that. It did one of my all-time least favorite things in movies, which is text on screen, on a black screen, putting text up. Like, that's something any basic editor can put in like 5 seconds in Adobe. But they put in text on screen saying, hey, people are really bored of dinosaurs now, so they had to engineer new dinosaurs. And I just turned to Sean and I'm like, there's no fucking way people would ever be bored of dinosaurs. And then I immediately thought, is this just a meta commentary that no one goes to see these movies? But then again, I guess it's not, because the movie made over 700 million at the box office. I don't know how, but the entire plot hinges on the whole idea that because at the medical lab they're at on one of these islands, whatever, they all sound the same, by the way. They get into this island, they're making the D-Rex, which is incredibly stupid. and they have these like magnetically sealed doors, and some guy's eating a Snickers and drops the wrapper, and it goes. I don't know why a magnetically sealed door needs a vent in the door, like in the actual magnetic part of the door, but it did. It goes into the vent and destroys the door. The door remains open, and the D-Rex breaks free. It's the ultimate you're not you when you're hungry, but in the worst possible way. Like, I feel like, did Snickers pay, like, half the cost of this movie?
And like you're already pulling a super contrived move with the like guy does careless stupid thing and then it causes like disaster. But like this guy really thought, "Oh, okay, I gotta turn." We both have like this fucking like nuclear submarine level ass like strategy. We both have to turn the key at the same time, and it won't let us in. We gotta be super secure. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna eat a fucking Snickers before I go in. Like, dude, the movie hasn't even started yet, and you're already fucking losing me. And this movie pulled like so many contrived things like that up the ass that I almost started to like think your meta commentary theory was like almost like someone on the editing floor had to be like, you know what, fuck this. I've been given a golden opportunity to fucking make a commentary on how dumb blockbuster movies are, and I'm sure that's not what happened, but I think it'll help me sleep easier at night to think that is what happened. I don't.
I just
Ugh.
can't fathom the idea that dinosaurs walk on the earth and all of a sudden people go, I'm bored of this. And then it's just they try and granted, this is the one time they actually tried to showcase something rather than directly telling you, but they try to show it where there's like some dinosaur causing traffic and everyone's just like, oh man, it's the Bronchiosaurus. Ah, he's slowing down my commute to work. Like, I could not imagine being that, having it be that mundane and just being like, ugh, the Stegosaurus is literally blocking Route 3, and now I'm late to work. And then you're texting your boss, sorry, there's a Stegosaurus in the way. Like, that still sounds so cool to me. And instead, they make it seem like that's the most boring thing that anybody could ever imagine. But, like, everyone in this movie was the ultimate caricature of their characters. You know what I mean? Like, they
Mhm. Oh
Scarlett
yeah.
Johansson is the what Black Ops mercenary who I don't really talk about things, but she also is the worst like mercenary ever, where all she does is be quippy because everyone wants to copy that Marvel style of humor. So all she's doing is just
Hmm.
constantly going around being like, "Oh, watch where you're stepping." Oh, like it's just nonstop quips. And then every person, there's no character development in this movie. I
No.
kept looking over to you every time they had the family, right? That their boat capsizes, and the mercenaries bring them on board because Jurassic Park civilians are in danger, of course. They bring them on board, and after the dad snaps his leg, and they show you his leg snaps, he somehow jumps off the boat, swims miles to shore, hikes up a mountain, borderline scales a cliff, and then I kept saying, like, did they is this a cut where they just forgot his leg was broken? And halfway through the movie, he goes, "Ow, my leg." Like, I'm fully convinced that when they shot this movie, they kind of forgot that whole thing of him snapping his leg, so they had multiple takes, and they were like, "Okay, we did all this other stuff where he doesn't talk about his leg at all, but it's too late. We'll just put the movie out." And I think they just did not care. Like, where was the continuity person to say, "Hey, remember when he violently twisted his leg the other direction like an NFL player?"
They literally go like out of their way to like they had the Foley artist do like the fucking cracking sound of like the leg too and everything. And no, Tommy's he's not kidding. Like he literally gets thrusted off a boat, swims like fucking God knows how far to whatever part of the island they got to, walks for like miles, and it's only when they suddenly take a beat. I guess maybe the fucking adrenaline got him through it, but like the fucking stoner boyfriend, whatever the fuck, makes some stupid quippy comment, and then all of a sudden the dad suddenly like, oh, and then he like grabs it like, well, let's all grab sticks, and like suddenly his leg hurts again. Like, dude, like what the fuck?
I mean, don't forget how
Which
stupid the boyfriend was too. Of like that character, anytime they went back to the family, I was just angry because, and I said to you in the movie, when the boyfriend is at one point peeing out in the open and raptors are about to eat him, this big ass dinosaur just comes in and eats the raptors. I'm like, he survives due to his own incompetence, but no one changes. No one ever is like, wow, this crazy thing just happened. I had a near death experience. I should be a better person. His girlfriend falls off the boat. He jumps off the boat to go save her in these like dinosaur infested waters, and I'm like, okay, so he cares. They introduce him by being like he's a lazy stoner, and I'm like, okay, cool, character development. He changed. He has motivation. He cares.
hmm
And then immediately after, like after he saves her, they finally take a minute. The dad's like, "Oh, I misjudged you. Like you're actually a good person. I see what my daughter sees in you." And he literally goes, "Whatever, pops," and slaps him on the chest and walks away.
it's like every cliche trope they could have thrown into this, they made it even more cliche than impossible. Like that peeing scene is like the typical like, oh, okay, let's show a character like doing something like nonchalant and then like something horrific happens behind him. But like literally, and no one changed. And one of the things that pissed me off, and why I said at the beginning why that ending pissed me off, is somewhere along the lines. I mean, we get the sense that the scientist from the beginning, like, he's a good dude. He wants to, like, he wants the world to care more about dinosaurs again, yada yada.
Medicine should be
But
for
just like,
everyone.
yeah, well, that becomes like the ultimate thing. But the only hint of anyone ever being like, fighting for some greater good up until he proposes this is like there's the stereotypical scene where it's like there's downtime on the boat and Marshall Ali and Scarlett Johansson are like catching up on their lives because it's been years and they're talking about like their fucking spouses and kids that'll like never be on the fucking screen or whatever, like, oh, like what happened to this person, like, it's like, oh, I think of my son like every time. Which, by the way, that's how they shoehorn him being obsessed with the family. Being like, he tells the dad like, "What the fuck, man? You brought your kids onto the fucking out into the equator to go boating." And the dad's like, "Oh, like we do this all the time. Like there's like 50,000 boats, and like our boat happened to be the one that got hit by a mosasaurus." Like, which, like, yes, that was like almost verbatim a piece of dialogue from the movie, but anyway, so they're having this like emotional talk and they're like, yeah, I mean the money's great, but like we should do like one thing for the greater good or something. And then that whole thing fucking goes away for like who knows, 40
Almost like the
minutes.
entire
And then
movie.
Scarlett yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, I think they've acquired like the second. It's Tommy calls it a fetch quest. It like in a video game, it really is like a fucking fetch quest. Like, oh, we got the Mosasaurus. We almost all fucking died. Na 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 na. Like literally holding it up like in fucking Zelda, like you got like the Master Sword or
You gotta put
something.
your XP
And then
up.
it's like yeah, literally. And then it's like the second one where they get the land one. I have the Gigantosaurus, who the fuck knows. Um she said Scarlett Johansson says to the scientist, who they have like a kind of a weird will they won't they romance that goes nowhere, which I hesitate to even call it a romance. This movie, I'm all over the place right now, but the movie was all over the place right now. But
It
anyways,
was.
she just she just says to him, like, so what would we do if we didn't give it to them? Like them being like whatever fucking evil corp that um Orlando Bloom lookalike 123 works for. He's like, well, we could open source it and give the cure to the world. All these companies make it and not one company controls it, Like millions get it instead of thousands or whatever like. So and that ultimately is what they decide, because of course you know evil Bloom gets fucking eaten by a dinosaur, because of course he does. Also, like, another thing, we pretty much called every character that was going to get killed the minute they showed up on screen, except for one cop out, but I'll leave that to you to tackle that.
I mean, I gotta go back to the whole shoehorning in the backstory, which I cannot stand when I'm watching a movie. And one of my biggest cardinal sins in a movie is if you're gonna tell me and not show me. Like, I think there's actually a big thing of media literacy, and we are watching the death of media literacy in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're sitting there talking on the boat, Scarlett Johansson and Duncan, I can never say Marshall Ali's name properly, so I'm gonna.
I love that. I love that you remember the
I,
character names. This is as funny as me remember the character names last
I can
week.
only remember his name because of how much he screams it at the end of the movie, which that's a whole nother thing that I'm about to get into. But like them sitting there and him going, "So, what happened after death of close friend of yours in last trip?" And she's like, turns
Literally,
and she's
though.
like, "After death of close friend of mine, I wanted to retire, but I decided not to. What about your family?" Like it was so like they were trying to build a backstory, but by just like verbal diarrhea to each other. And there wasn't even any blocking. They just sat there talking to each other with nothing about people you don't care about. And Marshall Ali's just like, "I have a son. That makes me a person you want to care about." And I'm like, I couldn't for the life of me like care at all about any of their backstories. But all these other characters, you know everyone's gonna die. You know all these people are gonna die. You don't care. And
Mm-hmm.
you know some of the deaths were cool. Some were just total BS. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But we get to Duncan. They are at the end of the movie, they're facing the D-Rex, which looks incredibly stupid, by the way. Like,
It literally looks like a
yeah.
xenomorph's face on a fucking
And it
T-Rex.
has like, even though T-Rex has short arms, it has even shorter arms, so it's like this. And it looks incredibly stupid. And I'm like, I I understand that they're gonna put this here, but why would they make something like that to begin with? And even more to the fact, why would they think it's cool to make a dinosaur that can literally only track things based on like blinding light and it looks stupid? Like, so they figure out as they're all trapped and everyone's like, "Oh god, the T-Rex is gonna eat us." Duncan sits there and he's like, "It's attracted to light. I got this." And he pulls a flare out and he's like, "Come get me." And you're like, okay, they're gonna actually do something cool for the first time in this movie. Someone's gonna have a meaningful death, and he's sacrificing himself so everyone can live. And it's like he's giving up the chance to be a father to his son, like all this stuff. And you're like, okay, decent plot. And it shows him like having the D-Rex follow him in the waters. He's waving the flare. He's like, "Come on, come on!" And then he gets backed up to a log, nowhere else to go. And then, meanwhile, Scarlett Johansson's screaming Duncan, which is the only reason I remember his name. She keeps screaming at the top of her lungs. And it's like, clearly, do you want to bring this thing over here? He just got it away. Like, but you see the light go out in the flare, and you're like, oh my god, it got him. That's really sad. He was the only person who actually did somewhat of a decent job in this movie. And then immediately he pops out of the water. He like shoots a flare and he's like, oh hey, I swam away. Like no explanation. He was backed up against like a bunch of logs, clearly nowhere to go, and they don't even try and tell you anything. They don't even there's
No.
no like, oh, he like you could see he swam here. Nothing. He's just like a good 200 yards away and he just shoots a flare and he's like, "Oh, hey, I got away from it." So like it's the least intimidating dinosaur that I've ever seen in a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, there were honestly, it's funny you say that. There were basically no stakes with the big bad dinosaur. It was actually more of the smaller ones, like the ones that like kind of stalked them through the tunnels that were like more intimidating, which it's hilarious that the most intimidating dinosaur was the one that Scarlett Johansson shot in the dino jugular in the fucking tunnel. But it was funny because you turn to me and you're like why doesn't he just fucking throw the flare away and the dinosaur will go there? And you have to think that's what he did because I mean like of course going back to how cliche the tropes are in this movie. Duncan quite literally backs himself into a fucking corner with the dinosaur being like, "Come and get me!" Blah, blah, blah. Which another thing about the sun too, I could never tell the I don't know if they did ADR, if the audio was just shitty there, which I never. I mean, the editing in this movie was all over the place. I mean, you you nailed it with the color grading. Like, holy fuck,
Oh,
you literally couldn't see people at times. It was like it was
my
bad.
biggest
Like,
my biggest gripe with a lot of modern movies is it seems they all went to the Game of Thrones school of shooting in the dark, and they're like, okay, so we watched the Battle of the Bastards, and we saw that everyone hated it, and everyone didn't like that you couldn't see anything. We want to do that exactly the same. Like, I don't know if it was because the screen at the movie theater we were at was just not great, but when it was like
mm,
dark, I couldn't see shit. And I have no idea what is happening, and not in a good way.
no, no. Uh, but like in regards to that, I didn't even know if the son, which of course at one point, like once the boat crashes onto the island, he has to grab, of course, the Polaroid of the son and stare at that because we're shoehorning everything in. Um, I didn't even know if the son was alive or not. Like, so like when he does this whole back himself into the corner thing, I don't know if it's like he's doing it to like avenge his dead family or if he's like, you know what, like they'll be saying like I oh god, it was just so shittily done in so many ways. Like no one developed in this at all.
I mean,
No one at all. And they have the stupid like trope of this dinosaur that followed around the younger girl that she named the fuck was it, not like
oh,
Claudette,
Dolores.
Dolores. She named the little yellow dinosaur Dolores, and I kept saying to you, I'm like, what is this fucking dinosaur gonna be like the kid of the D-Rex, or like it's gonna have like fucking superpowers? But no, it was just like following the kid around to be like cute, which also like this kid eh, there was this weird like subplot where the kid gets traumatized by the mosasaur and then becomes like a deaf mute for like 30 minutes in the movie. They're like, oh, you can speak again, like when the kid, because the kid like the kid's heart was warmed by young Dolores, the baby dinosaur who liked her Skittles, which, like, dude, the product placement in some parts of this movie was fucked. Like, when they go to the bar to recruit Marshall Ali and, like, the fucking squad, the Jai Courtney look-alike motherfucker who was the first guy to die, which I knew it. Um, oh, actually, sidebar, s a lot of the deaths in this movie were weird because they didn't like a lot of them happened like half on screen. Like the French speaking navigator who got eaten by the flying dinosaur.
Yeah,
Like we don't even see the dinosaur initially like get him
in the gullet.
in its gullet. Like we just see it like him already halfway in, and then I'm pretty sure it was a similar deal with oh my god, the cardinal sin of this was the girl who was on the boat, the other girl. I don't even fucking remember her name. She's like struggling to pull this luggage that they like
Oh,
jerry rigged this luggage to make sure it floated onto the island. And she's like, of course, in movie trope fashion, like struggling to pull it, like, oh. So then she's like, oh, surely it'll be a good idea if I push it from the other side facing the water when we've already said 6 times that the dinosaurs might come to try to the shore. And once again, you literally, she goes behind it. And then the next thing we see, we don't even fucking see her eating. She's just already in the mouth. Like, dude, like you have the budget for all these big ass dinosaurs, but you're not going to even attempt to show people getting like eaten.
my
Like,
favorite part is every time
ugh.
someone gets taken by a dinosaur, people just keep shouting their name, and they're like, "Duncan! No! No, Duncan!" And it's like, you're not gonna do anything, just screaming. You gotta be like, "Well, it's over. Alright, they're gone." Like, there's no coming back from that. And that I remember that person too, the woman trying to push all the stuff, because at the scene when they're trying to get the DNA from the water dinosaur, I'll never forget. They're just sitting there and they're like, they make a big emphasis on saying, like, oh, when you shoot this little dart gun, you have to be 10 meters away from the dinosaur at the furthest. Otherwise, it's not going to pierce their skin. And this woman just runs up to the crow's nest of their small ship and she's just point blank staring at the dinosaur and she's like, 20 meters, 15 meters. And then she'll be like, okay, now we're in range. And I looked over at Sean and I said, "She doesn't even have any gear. She's just guessing." Like, there's no way anybody in this movie knew what they were doing at any point because everything was just guesswork. Like, uh, and even finally, like, they keep trying to tease the D Rex throughout the entire movie to be like this cool thing. And it was the biggest waste of time. Like, when it finally shows up, and you called it, Sean, they make a huge point of saying, like, oh, okay, when the helicopter gets here, like, that's our exfil. The helicopter's gonna circle,
Oh my
and then we're gonna
god.
go, all get picked up, we're gonna go. And the like scientist guy shoots a flare, and then the flare goes up, and then you see the helicopter coming closer and closer, and then all of a sudden the light on it goes crazy, and then you see the D-Rex and the shadow of the flare coming by. I'm like, that's kind of lame. And then it throws the
It's
helicopter.
Godzilla.
Yeah, he's like, oh no. Like this movie was just so predictable in every step of the way. Even the turning of the evil corporate guy. The very beginning of the movie, you know he's gonna do that. You know he's shady. And then they try and do this whole
Mhm.
thing where it's like he secretly grabs a gun from like a dead helicopter pilot at one point in the jungle because everything in this movie is convenience based. And he tries to be like so over the top evil where he's like, let's see, I'll handcuff the briefcase to myself and none of you can have it. And it's like, well, yeah, what's gonna happen then is you're gonna get eaten and your arm is gonna conveniently fall off, thus letting everyone else grab it. Which leads to one of the worst things ever is that ending when they're all on the boat trying like leaving the island, and Scarlett Johansson looks at the scientist and says, so who do we give it to? And he goes, you decide. And then she like smiles and gives a smirk and she's like, everyone. And then the movie ends. Like it was,
And then everyone
yeah.
clapped like
They stood up
fucking
and clapped and went, yay. Like it was the biggest piece of shit ending. And then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? When they said people were tired of seeing dinosaurs, at first when I first saw it, I got mad. And I was like, there's no way. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I understand it because I'm tired of seeing these movies. Like, this is a franchise that should have died years ago. This is in the Jurassic cinematic universe. This is the seventh movie. And this
Mhm.
franchise peaked after Jurassic Park 3 of that scene when Dr. Allen is like he's like on the plane and all of a sudden he turns around and the woman is a velociraptor and she goes, Allen. Like cinema truly peaked at that very moment, and Jurassic Park has never been able to come close to that sense.
Which it's genuinely incredible that they were even to get like 1 to 2 decent movies out of this like Jurassic World sequel series after how shitty Jurassic Park 3 was. But the minute they got to that third movie, like the minute they got to the idea of okay, um we're going to bring dinosaurs into the world, and then by the time we get to this movie it's like um they all fucking died and they're all living the equator now. And yeah, just otherwise they're in zoos and shit. And it's like, God, I really, really hope this puts this series to rest. But I don't know, man. The fact that we weren't the only ones in that movie theater on a fucking Monday night, and the fact that that movie is made over 800 mil, I fear maybe there will be more of these, but I don't know. Dare I say that I think I enjoy Jurassic Park 3 more as a movie than this, which is saying something considering I remember a lifetime ago when Tom and I were in high school, we were on a trip like on a bus for senior week, and they had like a couple movie options. It was like the Winter Soldier, The Cobbler, which is a shitty movie, but the worst of all of the selection was Jurassic Park 3. Like the entire bus fucking moaned in pain. But I can truly say that compared to Jurassic World Rebirth, Jurassic Park 3 is a masterpiece because this was a piece of shit.
I mean, Jurassic Park 3 was so bad, but this was just like there's nothing redeeming about this movie. Everything that happens is
No.
incredibly predictable. And the one thing that really got to me too was the use of stock sound effects. Like, I would look over at you every time, like, when the scientist guy, they're trying to play it off as a comedic moment. They're sitting there in silence, and he starts eating Altoids, and you hear this loud, like, crunch, 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 crunch. But it's like, and they had reverb on it too. I'm like, no one chews that loudly, and now you're just trying to use that stock sound effect of someone eating, and then they have the stock sound effect of someone peeing later on when the boyfriend is trying to pee in the jungle. I'm like, it's so bad, and it's just like every character was bland, and every no one was memorable. Every part about this movie is just like I walked out of that theater. I woke up this morning and I was like, "Oh, this movie's entirely forgettable." Like
Mhm.
none of the dinosaurs were cool. None of the deaths were cool. Nothing really like the plot didn't really matter too much. Nothing meant nothing in the end. It's just another dud of a Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this would be a great movie to show upcoming filmmakers, um, just like the peak of shitty tropes and how to not make a movie. Like, War of the Worlds was one thing. That was like I don't even know if I can consider that a movie, but this was a movie, and it was a really fucking bad movie. Like if it weren't for seeing it with you, I don't think I'd remember it at all. And I would say we are in dire need of a flick after the last two movies we've seen because this pushed me to the limit. I'd say.
I mean, I wanted to do Toxic Avenger, but I it's nowhere. Like
I know, we weren't even supposed to go see this, like, Tommy and I were like, "Oh, let's go see Toxic Avenger," like, the remake of the Trauma movie from the '90s, because like, Peter Dinklage is in it, and then, like, hopefully it'll be fun, but, like, and for context, we go to the last remaining vestige of New England movie theater peak experience, Chunky's, which is like a very, jank version of Alamo Roadhouse or whatever they call it, the Texas place that's like fancy, where you get like food and movies. Like this is, um, peak cinema experience, and we cannot find Toxic Avenger anywhere. But when it's on streaming, we'll be there.
I mean, I feel like the movie theater experiences we have at Chunky's are like what every Red Letter Media movie theater experience they have is, which is always dog
I
shit.
think so.
Like it's just all like I can hear people having conversations and everything. And I'm like, you know, it's just not the same.
No, truly not. But all in all, I would say this movie. I think I need to be reborn myself after watching it because part of me died seeing
A
it.
part of me
I don't know
died on
about
that
you,
island, and I'm
but
never getting it back. And that's what upset me. That movie stole 2.5 hours of my life.
2.5 hours. Enough said. Yikes.
But that'll do it for this episode. No, Sean and I are going to be trying to find a better flick because this is just a rough streak right now. So please, someone in Hollywood start making some good movies now.
Yeah, I'm concerned that we might have run through a lot of the good movies this summer, so might have to hit the books, see what we'll find in theaters. But if not, you know, hell or high water, we will find a flick because I don't know if I can do a third flop in a row. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you can always find us on social media too and suggest movies to us anytime too. We might have seen them, we might not. So you never know.
Truly. Well, take care, everyone. We'll see you next time with hopefully a better movie.
Catch you later.